then week 4 came, and I'm sitting in the kitchen. The elders are talking to me. They're teaching me the lesson. I'm looking at them in the eyes so I can see they're talking to me, but my hearing was just gone. I couldn't hear anything they were saying. I had this really warm feeling in my chest, these pins and needles feelings, like it was like tingly, but it was like joy, not like anxiety, but more like, just really happy and warm and, really weird feeling. I honestly thought that Frankie, the guy that was his house, I swore he put something in the cookies, the lemonade, something. I was like, bro, there's no way, this is really weird. Like,
be the best, you gotta beat the best.
And you're like, okay, this is cool. Like, I can hang out with these people, but it's one thing to say I can hang out with them. Right. And it's another thing to say, like, I want to be one of them.
This is how members of the church, especially men, win.
The problem is there's so much information, you don't know what you're looking at. Like, I was looking at what I thought was LDS websites and LDS videos, and they were not. I found out later on.
To beat the best.
You guys were, at the time, the only credible channel that I knew to go and trust with what the church actually thought and preached versus some people who acted like they were members, but I found out later that they weren't. So anyways, credit to you guys. Appreciate that.
And I kind of wanted to say, like, do you think God just doesn't care who you are?
I remember Googling. That was the first thing I did, and that was the worst mistake ever. So anybody watching, if you're an investigator, don't just go Googling that.
The following is an episode of WardRadio and does not represent the thoughts or the opinions of KHTS, its owners, or any of its affiliates, nor does it represent the official opinion of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. With that said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to WardRadio. I am your host, Cardinal Ellis, and today I'm joined in the studio by a killer cast. We've got Jonah Barnes, Associate Professor of all things apocryphal. We've got Kwaku L, as well as a new friend, none other than Lheighton Cook here, also known as King Cook on Instagram. This guy, let me just do him a little brief introduction, okay? This guy's, I don't know, weightlifter, bodybuilder, boxer. You also see him just, a bon vivant man in the street with every edgy character in Los Angeles. Well, actually, I shouldn't say Los Angeles. I should say Orange County. A prolific skateboarder. He's kind of like, what are you, like a black Tony Hawk? How do I introduce you to my audience? Like Idris Elba, his secret baby that, him and Tyra Banks had in 2001 or something like that,
Sean White anymore. Sean Black now.
And what really brought him to our attention here was a super cool video that he put out that we saw that actually Kwaku showed me talking about his conversion story to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which I thought was pretty awesome. We'll just show you a clip here right now.
A black Mormon? Ain't no way, man. That's preposterous, bro. Aren't they racist? Isn't that a cult? Is the infamous Dave Chappelle character Clayton Bigsby now Lheighton Bigsby? Man.
Yeah, so anyway, he's funny. He's hilarious. A comedian, a bon vivant, and a fashionista. I don't know. My audience has to meet you, my man. So Lheighton, tell us who you are, what you about. Give us introduce you, what you're about. That was grammatically amazing. You know what I'm saying? So tell us about yourself, my man. Welcome to the studio.
Well, first off, man, I appreciate you guys having me back. It's an honor. I actually watched you guys when I was trying to search online for any kind of content for, any traces of, like, let's talk about the history of the church or, all the different things as a investigator at the time of, people talking about the church is racist and there's,
Really?
Yeah, the black people aren't allowed there or whatever the case is. I would just look it up. Your videos were, at the time, the only videos that I could find that were actually credible. Of course, there's a lot of videos on there that I later found out were just like Mormon hate, channels, whatever. But yeah, man. So I just, this is an honor to be here. I'm excited. As far as what I'm about, so I converted in 2017. One of the best decisions I made in my life. And I've been married for going on 7 years, 3 kids. Like you said, boxing, skateboarding, social media content on, personal development and things like that.
Yeah, you really bother me, actually. I'll be honest with you. I was reluctant to have you in the studio. Yeah. You're more attractive. Yes. Obviously more talented.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Annoyingly talented person.
Yes. And so I've waited on this for a while, to be honest with you, because, just you have cooler friends than I do. Like, look at this guy, tatted from head to toe, and then take a look at Jonah Barnes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't
So
do
it's
him
like,
like that.
you've got these kind of friends you're hanging out with.
I'm a visual aid.
You know what I'm saying? And then I've got these kind of guys they were hanging out with. And then like Lheighton rolls in and I'm just like, oh, dude, yeah, Lheighton's here. And he's like, yeah, sorry, I was weightlifting, bruh. Sorry, I can't come in the morning because, I'll get you after my workout. So yeah, I'll be honest. It was, we were a little reluctant at first, but we're glad you're here. So, dude, bro, you got to tell us, like, how'd you meet the church? Yeah. Like, in your own video is pretty awesome. You alluded to the fact that, a lot of people might look at you as sconks because there's a sconce. Man, today is not a good day for grammar. Might look at you side eye a little bit saying like, oh, a black Mormon, like what's going on? Because there's stereotypes out there that I actually find wildly not reflective of the church, especially in places like here in Southern California. And I mean, I would actually argue that even the most backwater ward in Utah is still more diverse than all of ex-Mormon anti-Mormonism and evangelical anti-Mormonism. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, yeah, tell us your story, how you converted, what got you interested in the church, how apparently I guess we helped you out along the way, which is kind of cool and very flattering. Now I can tell my friends that like, dude, this guy, like,
he owes everything to us.
Yeah,
he owes everything to us.
Yeah, like I'm with him. You know what I'm saying? I'm with him. When I'm going up into heaven, I'm going to be holding on to Brad Whitbeck's coattails. And when St. Peter's there at the gate blessing whoever goes in and who doesn't, which I know is a Catholic thing, but I've totally adopted it into my zeitgeist. When that's happening, I'm just going to be holding on to the coattails of Brad Whitbeck being like, I'm with him. And then if I try and get into a concert, I'm just going to be walking around with Lheighton here. And I'm just going to say, I'm with him. It's just like, it's what we're going to be doing.
You're going to have a hard time hiding behind these people, Carden.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I'm going to say on the mind at work.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, Lheighton, dude, what's your story, man? How'd you get to know the church? How'd you, meander through the minefield of all the stereotypes online? Give us the whole 9 yards, man.
Yeah. So first off, I grew up in a single parent household, just me and my mom. My dad actually was in Chino prison amongst other prisons. Like he kind of moved around. For 24 years. And so it was just me and her in the house. She was Christian. So I was raised Christian and, went to church every Sunday, went to church camp and things like that. Then I got to early teenage years, I guess about like 15, 16. I fell away from the church, so to speak, and just kind of did, Bible study on my own just because I would see some of the hypocrisy of some of the people in there, which I get. We shouldn't judge people, but I saw some really wild stuff outside of church from different people that went, and it kind of turned me off in my teenage years. And so my relationship with God was always number one, but I kind of stopped going to church. And so that was that part of the story. Then I met my now wife at Active. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Active Ride Shop. It was a skate shop that now they only have
back
2
in the
locations.
day, they had cool stickers.
Yeah. So I was a manager
around.
at one of those stores, and my wife started working there. Started off as just good friends. I knew she was a member of the church. I didn't know what that meant. I just kind of knew. I was intrigued because like she's Mexican, and I was like a Mexican Mormon. That's kind of crazy. My ignorance, I didn't know. And so it was like intriguing, but not enough to where I wanted to like investigate. And so we became just not good friends, but then best friends, and then eventually started dating. It still wasn't a deal breaker because she wasn't active in the church, and so I was like, well, whatever being a member means.
Question: So were you friend zoned at one point, and then did you find a way to get over the friend zone?
No, dude. Actually, what's crazy was that it's a good question.
How can you friend zone this? This is unfriend zonable. Marco Robbie is never friend zoned. All right. So Lheighton Cook is never friend zoned. What's your wife's name?
Betsy.
Betsy, if you friend zoned my boy Lheighton, not only are you the strongest willed woman on the planet, all right, but you're a fool. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's funny you say that because like she claims like, I mean, she did like reject me a couple times, and I was like, nah, it's all right. It'll happen. And then just being consistent, whatever, I asked her on the 3rd time because she didn't want to mess up our friendship. She's like, no, it's gonna ruin things and whatever the case is. And I was like, all right, try it another time. She's like, I don't know, whatever. Tried a 3rd time. We went on a date, and then now it's been, the rest was history. So, I mean, I guess maybe you could say friend zone for a little bit, but
wait, are we talking about this dreamboat here?
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, geez,
That's the
man.
missus.
Woo! I want to invest in your children. like Welch's baby 2028 is coming out of you two right here. Okay. Anyway, keep going, my man. Keep going.
Yeah, man. So up to that point, I think I was talking about at Active Right when we worked together. So I met her. I knew she was a member, so I didn't mean to hit the table like that. Met
It's
her,
all good.
And from there, maybe about 8 months in to our relationship, she was like, well, I want to talk to you about something. I want to get sealed. I didn't know what that meant. I was like, we're both in love with each other. So I'm like, cool, let's do it. I didn't even know what it meant. Like, yeah, let's go. What do we have to do, right? And she's like, no, you
Do I got to call a contractor?
Yeah, there are leaks how much is it going to cost? Like, I'm like, yeah, what do I need to pay? Whatever. And so she's like, no, you don't get it. And she explained to me what it was. And I was like, oh, so I'm going to have to convert, like the whole Mormon thing. Big turn off. And it was a no-go for me immediately in my mind. But I was like, let me investigate the church, whatever.
Well, what was the turn off? Like, what was the knee-jerk reaction? Because,
it was just my ignorance of not even knowing what I literally, just being honest with you, I always just thought, Mormons were
generalized religion, whatever.
White, blonde hair, blue eyes, Utah. I never saw anything else or anybody else.
Not just Polish ogres that live in LA.
I literally, I'm like my first, one of my first friends on my cul-de-sac I lived on, they were an LDS family and they had, I think it was like 7 of them. It was a huge family.
Weirdos.
So I just thought that's all I knew.
I'm having 6 kids.
Shout out to you, bro.
That's
I was chilling at number 3. I'm good.
Did you just look at your girlfriend on the couch? You know what I'm saying? And did you just vibe check? Yeah. How about that?
That's brave.
You know what I'm saying? All right. Don't worry. We'll edit your name out. So anyway, keep going, man. Keep going.
And so basically, man, I decided, I was like, okay, well, if I really say that I love her, let me at least try and learn about the church, right? And so I took the lessons with the missionaries, and I was on lesson number 4. Actually, I guess before I get to that point, me and Betsy would go to Frankie Peck's house. He was one of the members that are in the ward. And, when I first went to the church, me and him hit it off. He was like the most welcoming guy. He said, dude, you can do the lessons in my house. So we would meet at his kitchen table once a week, meet with the elders and so talk to them. So lesson number 1, went through it. And then every time we leave, Betsy would be like, how did you feel? Like what, do you have any questions? Like she was almost kind of like walking on eggshells, seeing if I was like turned off by it or what questions I had. And I would always just answer with good. It was good, right? Same thing with lesson number 2, 3. Then week 4 came and I'm sitting in the kitchen. The elders are talking to me. They're teaching me the lesson. I'm looking at them in the eyes so I can see they're talking to me, but my hearing was just gone. I couldn't hear anything they were saying. I had this really warm feeling in my chest, these pins and needles feelings, like it was like tingly, but it was like joy, not like anxiety, but more like, just really happy and warm and, really weird feeling. I honestly thought that Frankie, the guy that was his house, I swore he put something in the cookies, the lemonade, something. I was like, bro, there's no way. This is really weird. Like, I've never felt that. Yeah.
When the Apostle Paul described the fruits of the Holy Spirit, he forgot to say it's like a laced brownie.
It's like
a brownie at a bad party.
Yeah, it was nuts, man. It was nuts because he would always like, here's some cookies. And I was like, oh, I'm good. No, have some. And he was like, but it was just him being genuine. But when I was like, feeling that, I was like, what did you do to me, dude? Like, I'm like getting goosebumps even now telling the story.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, exactly. So I was kind of tripping a little bit.
We're innovative with our proselyting techniques these days.
Yeah.
I'm proud of those missionaries.
Oh, man, it was
Trying
crazy.
something new.
That's literally how I felt. And so after that lesson, routinely, Betsy asked me when we got in the car, she says, how do you feel? What questions do you have? And I didn't want to tell her the kind of the experience that I had because I didn't want her to be like, oh, well, you felt it. Like, let's go. We got to get you baptized tomorrow. And so I didn't say anything. I was like, good, same answer. I just wanted to see if it was going to happen the next time. So lesson number 5 happens, and I was focusing on it, I think, a little bit too much, and it wasn't coming. And then when I instead focused on what they're actually saying, then that feeling came again.
Well, let's also be honest. Lesson number 5 is kind of a boring lesson. We should just skip to number 6 and have it. Yeah. It's kind of like reading Isaiah in that second book of Nephi. It's kind of like,
it's the worst.
Do we really got to make it through the book of Leviticus?
It's the worst.
Okay, I see what you're saying. All right, keep going, man.
Yeah, man. And that's pretty much what happened, man. I was able to really sit in that feeling the second time around. And then that time after I left, she asked me the same thing. and I told her what I felt, and she was, excited about it, and we kind of had a good conversation driving home, and that's how that started.
Wow, that's cool. Okay, and so that's how you got to know the church. What put you over the edge? What made you say like, okay, that's it, I'm doing this? Because I have so much respect for any adult converts. Amaze me. Because first off, I look at my life and I am the epitome of fallen man. My friends are too. Look at Kwaku. He'd be a mess if it weren't for Mormons. No, I'm just kidding. But I know Jonah would be. I know Jonah would be.
It's true. Still am.
But I look at this and I think I would be an absolute self-serving scoundrel if I were not, if not for the gospel, right? I don't know if I would own the vineyard or the strip club first. I would just be a horrible human being. Okay, but having been raised in the gospel, like the book of Proverbs says, if you raise your child in the way, then he won't forsake it, or whatever that proverb is. I feel that has helped me avoid so many pitfalls that I could see being pitfalls that have existed in both my genetic and my adoptive family, right? I've avoided alcohol, I've avoided smoking, I've avoided addictions. I've generally had a more positive outlook on life that has helped me avoid depression, nihilism, and all this other stuff that I see people of my age struggling with simply because they were not raised in the church and they didn't have those foundational values. And if I were all of a sudden presented this in my adult years, how would I embrace it? This is one of the things I think is amazing about Kwaku. Kwaku, when did you convert? How old were you again, my man?
It's debatable.
Oh yeah, that's true. We don't. Assuming we had your birth certificate, you know what I'm saying, and give us a ballpark. What, you were 17-ish?
I was a normal. I wasn't a kid. You know what I mean? I knew what I was doing.
So you would say you were an adult convert, right? Basically.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So these people amaze me because I think, wow, you're taking your spirituality seriously. And if our world lacks anything right now, it's people that take their spirituality seriously. And so this just amazes me that you were taking it seriously, and then taking it seriously enough that you would do I wouldn't say a socially unacceptable, but a socially unorthodox move for somebody in your situation, which I think is amazing. So what this intrigues me. What put you over that edge? I get how people might be attracted to it. You met a gorgeous girl and she's a member of the church and you're like, okay, this is cool. I can hang out with these people, but it's one thing to say I can hang out with them. Right. And it's another thing to say I want to be one of them. What put you from camp A into camp B?
Yeah. So number one, I think was that feeling that I felt at that kitchen table with the missionaries. That feeling was so strong and undeniable. It was kind of I would be dumb to. That was sometimes you can debate if a thought you have is coming from yourself or coming from Heavenly Father, because it's I'm not really sure. Was it because I wanted that, or was it he was trying to tell me something? Those actual physical feelings and incongruence with the thoughts I was having was so clear. It was he's punching me in the face, telling me this is what's going on, man. This is where you're supposed to be. You guys,
God's a boxer too.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I didn't. Okay. I didn't have the right defense.
Now, I don't want to interrupt you, but this is. I think you're starting in the middle of the story, because what is it that makes you even receptive to the Spirit? Because a lot of guys, their lives are filled with bad stuff. Yeah. And being spiritual and feeling a warm, hot cocoa feeling in their heart is the last thing they're going to be receptive to. But you sat there and you said, I didn't even see what they were saying. I just felt this wonderful feeling of the Holy Ghost. A lot of dudes are already numb to that. Mm-hmm. And you talk about improving yourself as a person and character and those things on your, in your content. What is it that made you not numb as compared to kind of the rest of men your age that would have been, I don't know, agnostic to that feeling?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think number one, it has to be the foundation that my mom, gave me, being raised by her, being raised in not the church that I'm in now, but being raised in the church and having a strong relationship with God was always, super important for us. And so for me, it was almost undeniable because of that. So foundation, number one, I guess that's number one. Then part two would be because of that relationship with God at an early age, I never really had an issue with peer pressure when, growing up being a skater, everyone smokes weed, everyone drinks, like kids like 13, 14, whatever, drinking 40s and whatever at the skate park, some doing even harder drugs at parties and things like that. I never struggled with peer pressure and feeling like I needed to fit in because of that foundation that my mom gave me early on.
Wow.
And so I give a lot of credit to her and the foundation she gave me, because that also helped me when I got to, entertaining the church. I didn't have, for sure I felt peer pressure that kind of tried to pull me away from actually, getting in the water and getting baptized. But I was like, I've been here before. I've always been the person where I just, I do what I want to do. And that's what I do. So
it's moms, man. No pressure to all the mothers
can I
listening
say,
to this
though,
podcast.
I think this is how members of the church, especially men, win.
Being ripped, shredded, skating, having wives, multiple children.
Like being in shape, being successful, having a passion, being an active, engaged father, and having your purpose in life. Because you can't tell someone, like, you really think Bill Reel can tell Lheighton he's brainwashed? No, I'm being serious.
That's true.
That's really,
a good point.
this is how we win.
Bill Reel is a very prominent and toxic, middle-aged, boring, suburban anti-Mormon that somehow has a very large following.
Yeah.
Sad man.
people are just looking for reasons to hate,
But
man.
no, and that's not really even to disparage him, just like the archetype, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to sound really harsh for a minute.
That's fine.
But do I care about criticism from a nihilistic, pudgy,
Washed up.
worshiping? It's
Right.
like I don't care what you think. It's like, I think you're brainwashed. I don't want to be like you.
Yeah.
Like maybe my brain needs some washing because yours is obviously dirty. Like this is how we win.
Yeah.
We win, but we win by being in shape, being successful, having passions, and understanding, and what men in America need. We talked about this right before we started filming. Throw away the video games. Go to the gym. Read some books. Find who you are. Send your passion. Girls will come. The minute you know who you are, the women just come. You don't have to chase girls. The minute Latter-day Saint men just excel in that, we win. Who cares what they've got to say about Joseph Smith or the Book of Mormon contradicts it? Who cares? We win when we're actually fulfilling what God wanted a man to be.
Yeah.
And you're kind of doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And okay, so
At least his Instagram profile is. You know what I'm saying? Jeez. Like, if I ever
it's
needed to-
getting a little bit sus.
No, I'm telling. No, it's been.
You grew up
sus.
in L.A.
If something catastrophic happens to me, and what was that movie? Not called Avatars, where they used the papyrus font. What was that Bruce Willis movie where robots took over your visage and you behaved in the?
It's called duplicates or something.
Yeah,
What's it
duplicates or
called?
something. Yeah, if we get to that
Surrogates.
Yes. If we get to the point where we're in surrogates with Bruce Willis, I have found my surrogate. That avatar. I'm gonna body scan this guy and walk around and be like, "Yo, what's up? I'm Lane." A 6'5" version of that. That is I'd be
You
a
got the hype,
professional.
man. You got the hype.
You know what I'm saying?
This is interesting, right? Because just the other day we spoke to an evangelical pastor talking about works versus grace. And I kind of wanted to say, do you think God just doesn't care who you are? Do you think God doesn't care if you're successful or if you're well-adjusted or if you're emotionally stable or if you're a strong, stoic leader in your home? Do you think God just doesn't even care? In our religion, the Church of Jesus Christ, we care. You need to be a better father. You think you're a good father? You need to be a better father. You're good at your job? You need to be better at your job. You need to learn all the things and do all the things. And sometimes people think, it's a high demand, it's a lot of pressure. But as opposed to just, you put your arm up on Christmas and Easter and you're like, oh, God's okay with me just loafing and waiting.
We got kind of lambasted by that guy a little bit. But no, actually, he was very kind. But there was no give. You know what I'm saying?
This character building stuff that you do, that's gospel, right? That's kind of that's gospel. Christ doesn't want you to just be a waif. He wants you to be best at everything. He's not content with you just being okay. He wants to make you into a god. He wants to make you into deity. You know, and that's a lot of work, right?
I think what happens is that meaning, so Heavenly Father puts these ideas in our mind, and it's up to us whether we want to carry them out or not. Like he puts the desire in our hearts to be great when it comes to being a father, a husband, an entrepreneur, whatever the case is, or just a good, role model, a mentor in your community. And you have the choice to pick up the phone and answer the call or not. And that's when you obviously go the other way. I read this book called Outwitting the Devil. I don't know if you guys have ever read it, but
one more time?
Outwitting the Devil by
Sounds
Napoleon
cool.
Hill.
Outwitting the Devil.
Yeah, by Napoleon Hill. And it's a really, really good book. But it basically is talking about how Napoleon Hill, who's the author of the book, interviews the devil and asks him almost like picture like the devil being interviewed in a courtroom setting. He can ask him whatever question he wants to, and the devil has to be honest. He says, well, how do you take over people's minds, whatever? And he's like, well, I'm half of everything. People think that I'm this red monster with a forked a tail, whatever. No, I'm just half of everything, and the other half is my opposition, right? And so he basically explains that he seeps into people's minds, confuses them, and it slows them down to not want to be great anymore. And so I think we have the choice to pick up the phone and answer the call when Heavenly Father says, hey, you need to be great. Like, I put this in you. I know that you should be this person. So I think we should always lean into personal development and trying to get better when it comes to, being a better leader, especially for a lot of these men out here. Man, I see a lot of men that are just not leading the way they should be or even being a leader at all. And I think it's a shame.
Have you ever read C.S. Lewis's Screw Tape Letters?
No.
It's kind of letters from the devil and how he tempts people. He had a great metaphor where C.S. Lewis says, Jesus Christ is that auto mechanic that you hate, where like you got a chip in your windshield. Yeah. So you go to the auto mechanic and he's like, yeah, you got a chip in your windshield here, but I also noticed that this tire's a little bald. You need new tires. And you're like, oh my gosh, okay, fine. And then you come back and he's like, I was looking at your tires and your rotors are looking pretty rough, so we're gonna have to replace those rotors. And you're like, oh, come on, all right, fine. And then you come back again and he keeps adding and adding more things. Jesus Christ isn't content with you just having your windshield crack repaired. He wants to overhaul the whole car. He wants to make you into a totally new being. And it's hard.
Yeah, but some of our cars suck and others are sports cars. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the flaw in this analogy.
Jonah, did
all right,
you can't compare Jesus to a con artist auto repairman with a dirty wife beater, hoping that the teenage girl comes in and he's like, oh, I got this right here.
That's gonna be close.
With a southern accent, Jonah.
Some antis are going to be like, this is what they really think of Jesus.
Right.
Dude, so now here's my question. You teased before that you say that our video content somehow helped you in this process. Bro, you can't. If I have a chance to take a sliver of the coolness that you just, walk around dripping, I will take every drop, my man. So tell me, like, what was it? How did you stumble upon us? I mean,
how did we make you? How do you owe us everything you are?
There we go. Let me put out in public right now for everybody to hear. So no, seriously though, I was searching for answers. I think like a lot of people, when you're put in a position where you have something in front of you where you're like, you need to learn more about it, you're just searching for answers. I wasn't really sure where to search. I remember Googling. That was the first thing I did, and that was the worst mistake ever. So anybody watching, if you're an investigator, don't just go Googling, man. You're going to find a bunch of crazy stuff.
Until something goes live. And it's the first thing on Google.
We're going to have to talk about that.
Yeah, that's you too. That's the next thing for sure. But I was naive and just Googling stuff, thinking that's the best place to go, which it is for information. But the problem is there's so much information, you don't know what you're looking at. Like I was looking at what I thought was LDS websites and LDS videos, and they were not. I found out later on. And so anyways, I was like, let me go on YouTube and
they do that. They like try and masquerade
like it's real.
Like it's real. And that's my biggest frustration. It's like when you go to the Mormon Stories podcast, we're not talking about Mormon stories here. We're talking about anti-Mormon theories and conspiracies and tropes. And then you go to like Radio Free Mormon, and it's not about Mormons, it's about anti-Mormons. And they've gone so far as making channels titled Understanding Mormonism, as though it's like an official church publication.
Yeah, Mormon Sunday School.
Yeah, the worst was Mormon Sunday School, where they're having like anti-Mormon lessons masquerading as come follow me. It's like when all of the neo-Nazis in the early 2000s would buy the martinlutherking.coms,
Yes.
you know, and anything associated with any civil rights leader, whether it was Malcolm X or whether it was Marcus Garvey, who has some really cool LPs they just discovered here. And there was a beautiful NPR. NPR actually does some things good, guys. And one of them was re-releasing the cool Marcus Garvey speeches that he made back in LA back in the day. But anyway, like, yeah, they'll buy these URLs and they'll make these YouTube channels, and it's so pernicious because like it's covert, it's not overt, you know? So anyway, you stumbled upon this.
Yeah. So basically, like I said, I was looking for answers. I was trying to find who was legitimate, who was credible, and who wasn't. Found you guys, and then obviously, you know,
You thought we were legitimate? What an idiot!
take the
This guy
compliment,
thought
bro.
we were the real deal.
Take the compliment, Bryce.
No wonder he got baptized, man.
and so yeah, but I was watching you guys talk about the priesthood ban, and that was one of the main things I was looking into, because I was just like, well, how does this even make sense? Like, how is this, like, is it true? I don't know if it's true or not. I'm hearing a bunch of different things, and from the people I asked that I did know were members, they actually didn't have answers. So, which is another thing. Any members watching this, I think you should learn about all history, not just, you know, leave some things out. Because me as an investigator asking, you know, a member that I knew had been in the church for a long time, asking him, like, what does this mean? Like, did this really happen? And he said yes, but he didn't really have an opinion or anything at
scuttle
all.
away
So it's
from
hard.
it. Yeah.
So I think more people need to learn a little bit more about these things that potential, you know, new members are going to be, you know, scared or iffy about, because you can help them. You can give them the actual truth, because otherwise they're going to Google it, find the wrong stuff. So anyways, I found your channel, and I was just intrigued by the whole video and really, you know, listening to what you guys had to say.
I gotta see
And so
which
I
one
think-
that was, man. But yeah, I keep going.
You're like, I don't even know what episode that was. But I really appreciated it though, because you guys were at the time the only credible channel that I knew to go and trust with what the church actually thought and preached, versus some people who acted like they were members, but I found out later that they weren't. So anyways, credit to you guys. Appreciate that.
Oh, rock on. Thanks, man.
cool.
And I gotta say, dude, like this is the false idol that we worship now, is this niceness culture where it's like, we don't talk about controversial things. And we've all been raised with this phrase that if you want to keep your friends, don't talk religion or politics. And I think there's some truth to that we can't be a polemicist 24/7, willing to, like, you know, thou shalt not pass on like every stupid thing. Okay. Like, nobody likes that guy. But at the same token, it has gone too far, because when you try and avoid talking religion and politics all the time, you basically create a society in which nobody can converse about difficult things. And when somebody comes up with a difficult question that frankly is not that difficult, okay, like you can cover it in 2 or 3 sentences and in 2 or 3 minutes, just as much as you can cover the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, basic civil rights. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're just willing to lean into the meme and just go for it, you can tackle these conversations. But we're so averse to this controversy because of our suburbanism or our niceness culture, whatever you want to call it, okay, that we just don't have these conversations. So when people like us come out here and me and Kwaku just start joking about things, and then Jonah chimes in, people think that, like, oh, we're like edgy, you know? And it's like, no, we're not edgy. We're just honest, and we need to have honest and open conversations, right? So anyway, awesome. Hey, well, dude,
I got our second
I
subject,
feel
by the way.
cooler. Oh, what's your second subject?
Well, how much time do you have?
Yeah.
Well,
me
let's
and Paul
just
can
end
say-
this one. We're already 1 minute into overtime, and so we got to go. But anyway, yeah. So where can people find you, bro? If they wanna just, you know, check out your stuff, if they want to get to know more about you, if they want to see who's this cat that just showed up on WardRadio, your Instagram, your YouTube, where do you want people to find you, man?
King Cook, pretty much everywhere, just because it's easier than just spelling my name. I threw Jonah off earlier with my silent H in my name. So King Cook on everything on Instagram, KingCookk. It's my last name, and that's where they can find me.
All right, rock on. So here it is, just that everybody can see. If you guys want to follow Lheighton here, yeah, he does spell it really cool. The Lheighton. See, it's not just Utahns that do the weird spellings and the strange names. You know what I'm saying? Down in LA, we got that thing going on too.
Yep.
And then also his Instagram is King Cook. He's got all kinds of cool stuff going on. He's got his own brand. He's skating. He's lifting weights. He's interviewing cool people on his podcast. If you guys want to check him out, you guys can check him out there. Just make sure you spell it right. It's COOK. So anyway, guys, if you like what you heard and you had fun with us today, please make sure that you check us out on our website. It's pretty fun. It's wardradio.com. At the top, there's a social bar there. We're on all the socials. You can hit us up there, and also look at this on the bottom. If you want to contribute, you can contribute through Venmo or PayPal. And most importantly, you can sign up for our newsletter. Luke Hansen is actually sending out some really cool news articles on occasion. To get updates from us, please make sure that you sign up for our newsletter. And as always, for this and more, please make sure you check us out at wardradio.com.